Disney put on a Toy Box TV Live with JV. They also had Allison and custom artist Everloss was on the event. We were both watching that live. What were your first reactions of this show?
It felt a lot shorter, but definitely cool. I love that they just got into playing obviously Evolos came on and talked about his customs, but they got right into playing with the Rebels in the game, showing them off, and it was cool. I mean, it seemed pretty casual, like they were just having fun, having a good time. I want to bring that up again, the little dome discs that were on this side. Apparently, I found out from Evolos outside that they were planning to bring those up, but I guess they ran out of time. Yeah. So, but regardless of the fact, we still got the Star Wars Rebels reveal. They got to play them. Not to mention, we learned that JV was talking to producers of other Disney films, which is why I said I smell Zootopia in the future, which makes sense. And the biggest thing that stood out was the several amounts of quotes that JV was throwing about how it seems like these aren't the only Rebels figures we're going to be getting this year. I mean, again, I'm just going off of speculation, but
I'm gonna have to
those quotes were very.
I'm gonna have to go in there and fix that page.
Why? What's wrong with the page?
It's all over the place.
Something wrong with your page?
Don't know. I'm gonna have to have a look at that. I'm just going. Huh?
Oh wow! Yeah, no, that was not how it was. Trust me. That's weird.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Lots of stuff was brought up on the show. So obviously, just so everyone gets a clear view, there were these pictures here are customs. These were customs created by Everloss. You got Anti-Venom, Mr. Incredibles in his glory suit, and Red Hulk. Everloss does a lot of customs work. He's been involved in customs for a long time. I think 20 years he said he's been doing sort of work. I've known him probably as the last 5 years doing Vinimations. He used to do that, but he kind of moved on to the Toys to Life category and been really, really successful, and just sort of they've been very, very popular. Even was at the point where Toys R Us were talking to him about bringing these to their stores, a special custom limited edition, but Marvel nixed it, and Disney, basically, I think the legal department didn't like this idea at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things. I think as a large company, they couldn't really. It was just they needed it was just too much for them to do. But it's a shame. But if you want to get hold of them, you can get hold of Everloss through all the social media and like everloss.com, etc. But now he was there and talking about that, so that was a really cool thing, especially from as I've known him for a few years with Vinimation. So it's kind of quite cool seeing him on this.
No, yeah. It's definitely cool to see, just one of our many community members who like to customize these figures. I know we used to have a really active member named Paul Dart. He used to do a lot of customs for Infinity 1.0. But I mean that just shows you these things are so cool that you can have many variants and customs get inspired by them. So
yeah, okay. So I'm gonna let you just run through your list that you wrote out for this show, because it's one of those great things that I can just sit back and watch that show.
Yeah, I will do that right now. And in fact, the way it looks on my page looks a lot cleaner than yours. I don't know what's going on with your page, but okay. Anyways. Anyways, I'll take a look at it afterwards myself. So let's go through the recap real fast. Let's see. So like I said, JV met with, Allison always asks what JV did during the week, and he not only met with studio producers for future Disney Infinity, but he also got to see the premiere of Inside Out, so he took selfies with Amy Poehler and Lewis Black. Apparently Tony Hawk's kid plays Disney Infinity, which is something cool to know. And then basically Scott's one of the PR guys. He came on and talked about the E3 preparations. There's a lot of cool stuff coming, so I can't wait to report all that. But anyways, you guys can read all that information later. So let's see. Evolos came on, did his talked about his customs. Then let's see. Let's move on. I just want to pinpoint him.
Yeah.
let's see. So that's when Ryan and Jason came on, and they started playing the Rebels figures inside the playsets. So that's kind of cool. They, like we said before, it's cool that you actually can play these Rebel figures inside the playsets. Something that was kind of said that was interesting was that these figures can play in the toy box and in these playsets, but they never really said the words toy box only.
No.
I don't know if it has anything to do because they can play in these playsets or because, like we said, there might possibly be a playset coming, so who knows. We did joke around about how Ezra looks like Aladdin in Star Wars, which is true. It totally looks like it. Then they had a special guest. John Blackburn was there, and he came out to talk about certain things with the Rebels figures. His favorite is Kanan, obviously. Apparently, Kanan was one of the most powerful figures before they did some tweaking, but it's because he has the awesome saber abilities, and he also has his blaster separately, as opposed to how Ezra has it built into his saber. Sabine was the most complicated build and paint profile of all the figures because of all the different colors and the pieces to the figure. They also mentioned, JB mentioned that they were thinking about possibly charging more for it, but they said no, we're not going to do that to our fans, which is awesome. Let's see, Zeb was also a very tough design because of his feet, and they had to keep him balanced. They didn't want to make sure that the plastic would droop over. So he's a big guy. They had to make sure he fit in the packaging. Then we had Tyler show up, and he basically did some hand modeling and showed off the figures, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
They did bring up Go ahead.
While we're still on the Star Wars Rebels bit, I just wanted to share some thoughts that had come through from Facebook, Infinity and Beyond. Some of the people over there, I asked them for their reactions to it. James Infinity Museum, he loved the idea of Ezra's blaster and saber combos. Having a ranged and melee weapon in one will be very, very handy. Joshua put down, I think they look great, and it's going to be nice to have these quality figures because the Hasbro figures so far have had lots of problems. And again, asking for Hera.
Okay.
Yeah, again, Jolie said the same thing about Hera not being in there, being just set the Rebels Han Solo. And
so there you go, it was Jolie.
Yeah, and yeah. Oh yeah, David Pett. I was almost going to get Lego Dimensions, definitely over Skylanders with the adding vehicles, blah. But now they have Rebels. I can no longer ignore this, and I know where my money is going. My wife is going to hate me.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's I think that generally there's been there was a good strong reaction to the Rebels announcement, but also I think being able to see this footage of them on the day they announced it was great because it really kind of you could see them and running around all in this playset and made a lot of sense.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Pazio, you can carry on.
All right, so parry, the actual move parry, where you kind of like block the enemies, it's going to be great because now not only is it going to allow you to block attacks, but it's also going to allow you having awesome battles with your friends when you're doing multiplayer in the toy box. Other news: Jeff Bunker is currently in China, so he's probably inspecting the figures, or maybe some we don't know about. Who knows? Evlos then finally showed his JV custom, which is kind of cool. It's a spin on Syndrome as JV, which is kind of cool. And then they shared this really cool fan mail that they received back in 2013 when the game first came out from this kid. And he basically called Disney Infinity 3.0. Like, he basically said a lot of things that were great. And JV showed his new blanket that James sent from the Infinity Museum, which is awesome. And I believe you can get those online if you really want one. And then they also revealed, which is cool because of the kid sending that that letter, they revealed a fan mail address that you can actually write them fan mail or send them thank yous, and they will obviously go through it, which is kind of cool.
It's just, I've seen it quite a few things on a few different TV shows recently about they're all like, well, you can still write into us, you don't have to do everything through social. It's like, It's like I did. The only thing I did figure that was, it's all very good, but don't mention anything in the future because otherwise you won't get featured for about 2 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, don't mention anything in the future because this kid had to wait 2 years before he finally saw anything.
Now, one thing that kind of like left me a little worried, only because it's something I wanted to see a long time ago. I don't remember if it was a Game Informer thing or another interview that the other fan sites did. I remember JV saying something about Han Solo having this, or maybe it was Jeff Bunker, saying that there was a finishing move.
Yes.
Where Han Solo, his special move basically freezes somebody in carbonite really fast. JV did mention something about how there was a scene where Han would get frozen to carbonite, and apparently Lucas had them take it off. So I don't know if it has to do with his move or if it's actual gameplay in the playset, but I guess we won't know until either E3 or when the game comes out. So we'll see.
It's kind of one of those interesting things. I think in general, I think that like the Toy Box TV Live, it's a nice informal show to kind of be interacting with it. It's great as well if you're in there. I know a lot of us are in there. You know, you had us. You also had Rob from Coin Up TV. You had, I think, Pirate Steven. Everloss is normally in there. You've also, I think, Brandon from Game Vit Trailers is in there. There's quite a few, Jason from Infinity Inquirer will be in there. There's quite a few different people in there, usually all chatting and stuff. So it's a kind of good atmosphere. And also, you find that stuff, and they kind of, they don't always keep to the scripts. And we get, but I've loved the fact they've been showing us this gameplay footage from play sets, and kind of it, they did away with sort of a lot of the Toy Box TV stuff that I think they planned to do. I think in general people weren't responding because everyone just wants to know what's new.
Right.
I think once 3.0 is out, show off the toy boxes. I think that will be fine. But I think in general, I think that's been a lot smarter. Right. But I think anything else you want to add from the Toy Box TV side of things? Yeah,
there was a couple more things. They did also bring up the fact that, like we said earlier, that there are some playset and there's also some Toy Box exclusive moves. So obviously, one like Zeb, he'll have a wall crawl on the Toy Box in here. But I did want to bring up those quotes that we were talking about. Mm-hmm. How it kind of made it seem like we might get more Rebels in the future. There was, the small quotes, which were like, these 4 characters as our launch characters of Star Wars Rebels. Another one was, I really like the Inquisitor when he was asking John Blackburn regarding his favorite character. Then he was reading something about General Grievous and the Emperor Palpatine being able to do like little battles, and he said all of which, by the way, can be done right now in the toy box. So it kind of made us think like, oh, could there be a Palpatine or a Grievous coming? Who knows?
Well, we've already seen sort of a screenshot of
Grievous,
Obi-Wan Kenobi fighting Grievous. So to me, that I think that's less. If he's going to be a boss battle, so it could be like Loki where they bring them out later, or is it going to be like MODOK where you don't actually get to they don't release them? I think he'll be out. He's too much of a popular character not to do it. But it was very much kind of like you'll be able to fight as Emperor versus Grievous in the toy box. It's like, hey.
Oh, really? Exactly. All right. And then one of the lines that he kept saying over and over again, which was a little. This is the one that I copy quote word for word. He says, "A little gameplay of our first 4 Star Wars Rebels figures announced so far." So it's like, dude, you keep saying that. But the last quote that I wanted to touch on, I'm gonna quote this word for word because I literally listened to it to make sure. But this is the one that makes me believe more that we got more coming. He said, "We've announced 4 Star Wars Rebels figures so far, and as we like to do at Disney Infinity, we're always looking at adding more characters. So if you are big fans of the characters like Hera or the Inquisitor or Chopper, there's certainly a chance that you will be seeing those characters soon. But that's all we have to announce, these 4 characters." So, I mean, the way he said it, like, you'll be able to certainly see it soon, or, I don't know. He's, like, hinting, so I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a shoot down, not mention it, we don't, because that's what usually happens. But I think in general, this is the big thing with this, I found this year. Some of the wording, I mean, Disney had been very, well, I'd say this is something they did a lot last year. They kept leaving the door wide open. Oh, we've got more figures and playsets to announce later.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. And